It's Thursday, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about being unemployed. As you guys know, because I discussed it when it happened, I was let go from my job in June. It was very sudden and unexpected, but hasn't been all bad. It's been stressful monetarily, and I will admit that I have amazing parents who are willing to help me out if I need it, and not everyone is that lucky. So I've been very blessed these past few months to not have to stress about keeping a roof over my head and food in my belly while I try and find a job that will pay the bills. What I have had to stress about is how difficult it is to find a job that will pay the bills. Obviously, there are always options out there, and I'm not saying there isn't. I am well aware that Walmart is constantly hiring and that there are a lot of other options. But I'm looking for something that is a little more long-term and with a little bit more money, but more importantly with benefits. Like, now that I have the opportunity to try and find a new job, I want something with healthcare. I want a job that has a 401k. I want a lot of things that I hadn't thought about before when I've been job hunting, because now I have grown up, I guess. I own a house now. I'm over 30. I'm starting to think about the future a little bit differently. And so I have really been taking the time to try and find a job that will meet those requirements. I want a job that's not too far away. My last job was very, very far. I want a job that pays reasonably well, but it doesn't necessarily have to pay as well as my last job because I won't be driving as far to get to it. So it'll cost me less to do it. The other thing that I want that I hadn't necessarily considered before having this last job was that I maybe do want a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 sort of life. One of the other things that I've thought long and hard about is the idea of working overnights, like a midnight to 8 a.m. shift. And if I could get a job like that where I don't work on Tuesdays and I don't work on either Fridays or Saturdays, it would work out really well for me. Because then on Fridays or Saturdays, I could see late night theater, like burlesque, that goes until late. On Tuesdays is usually when we have 10-minute Tuesdays. It's often when we have rehearsal for Phoenix Tears. So I would have that time open for rehearsal and wouldn't have to worry about hurrying off to work. But then the rest of the time, I could do early evening theater, something that goes from 8 until 10, because I wouldn't have to be at work until midnight. I also can do stuff with people when they get off of work, like do evening activities and then go to work. I would be active and up and awake and doing my job during this time. It's like 4 a.m. right now, and this is when I feel awake. I'm energized, I'm ready to go, and I've actually been up for a while. It's something I've been thinking about, and I have been therefore looking at different sorts of positions and trying to apply for different sorts of things than I would have a couple years ago, and also than I probably will if this unemployment continues and it becomes a gotta get a job sort of situation. But luckily for me, I'm not there yet. I did have an interview of sorts with a recruiter for a company, and this particular interview also really got me thinking about something that I hadn't necessarily been able to articulate before this point in time. I was interviewing for an administrative assistant position, and as part of the interview, they have you take this assessment that basically lets them know what your work style is. So I did this, and it returned exactly what I figured it would return, that I am a maverick is their archetype. Basically, somebody who thinks outside of the box, doesn't really care for authority unless you can explain like why you're doing things, is not afraid to take risks, is very, very goal oriented, but sometimes forgets about the details, like is focused on the end goal and forgets about the details, likes to lead groups, and is a like risk taker in the environment, like willing to jump in and do anything. None of this comes as a surprise, even the negative things about Mavericks, which are like bucking authority, wanna do everything themselves and don't really ask for help, get bored easily hate being micromanaged. Like, those all pretty much line up with like who I am as a human. What it meant was she looked at that and said, this isn't really the skill set and personality we look for in an administrative assistant, because that's a lot of repetitive tasks and a lot of like detail focus and things like that. And that's not what your strengths are as a maverick. You should do sales. And I sort of was like, I'm not so sure about that because sales isn't something that usually interests me. I didn't want to be like, no, I don't think that would work for me because I want a job. So I said, okay, that sounds interesting. If you think I'd be a better fit there, I would be interested in that open position too. I'm interested in any position that you have that's open that you want to hire me for. And I realized after that whole interview ended how I should have explained things. Very happily go into a job that is repetitive, menial, detail-oriented tasks and not be frustrated with that like a maverick classically would be. And this is because the job that is paying me is my side hustle. I have a real focus, and that is Phoenix Tears. That is all the things we do with Phoenix Tears. It is what I'm passionate about. It is what I want to work on. It is what I try to continually grow from year to year. I want it to get better. I want it to get bigger. I want it to become more successful. And like, that is where I focus my maverick energy, is on driving that forward. But because of that, my side hustle, which most people would call their job, is a side hustle, which means that when a recruiter tries to like fit me into a position, they're doing that because what they want to do is build a spot where they know I will excel and then where I will want to grow, because they're trying to like boost me into this career where I will soar. And I appreciate that. It's just not what I need. And I should have explained this to her, but I didn't know how at the time. And by the time I realized, it was too late and the interview was over. So hopefully she calls me back about that sales assistant position and I can still get a job. And if she doesn't call me back in a little bit, I'm going to email and be like, hey, is that administrative assistant still open? Because I can sit down and explain to you why I would be really good at this. And also, I would like to have this job. Thank you. I don't necessarily want to advance my career. Like, I'm not getting this job so that I can sit and bask and grow. I'm getting this job so that I can pay my bills and I can still do theater. But right now, my hourly job is my side hustle, and therefore it doesn't need to be perfect, because that's not why I go. I will work hard, I will do what they want me to do, and I will be dedicated to the job as long as it is dedicated to me. And I don't need to advance, and I don't need to get promoted, and I don't need to move into a manager position, because eventually, hopefully, someday, probably many years down the road, I am going to be able to focus on my real job instead of my side hustle. That's the thoughts from today. I'm sure this video is ridiculously long. I'm also sure that I'm probably not editing it much. Hope you enjoyed those thoughts. Let me know if you consider your job, your career, or a side hustle, especially if you're a creative person. I'd be curious about that. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm hanging out with Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen. Oh, he's upside down, I think. I think he's supposed to be like this. Yeah. I did the whole video wrong. Gotta reshoot it all. I'm not gonna reshoot it all.